Exiles podcast. Linda, you want to start with introducing yourself?
Sure, I'm Linda
Yourself?
Irwin of Awesome Insanity. And you can find me doing comedy, sci-fi, and other things on Spreaker, including Awesome Exiles podcast. Brian?
I'm Ryan, or Doc. You can find my work at eclecticforun.me.
Hey, sup, I'm Ali, your acid bath princess of the darkness. I'm on YouTube as Ali the Zombie 13, and I'm the administrator of a ongoing website called WeViddy.net.
Crash, you want to introduce yourself?
All right, this is Crash, and I am everywhere on the internet under the name Lawborn or Crash Exile, whichever you like. Mostly on YouTube nowadays, but hopefully I'll be on WeVidly. Excuse me, I said the cursed name.
All right, Crash. Crash is going to the dark zone.
Oh
I'm gonna get banned now.
To the shadow realm with you.
I'm sorry, Allison.
It's
okay.
Back to BitView with you.
Get my deck of cards. It's time to duel. Alright, but so today's topic of choice, we're going to be discussing basically how the internet's changed, because we've all been on the internet in various forms over the last 20, 30 years. And God, has the internet changed a lot.
Well, maybe I'll start it off since I'm going to take it back to its very beginnings.
Fine by me.
You see, I first got a personal computer and got involved with the internet in 95. Yes, that long ago. But even before that, let's talk computers just a little bit. My first computer used Windows 3.1. We're talking only 16 colors, tiled wallpapers, and your file names could only be 8.3, meaning 8 characters before the decimal and 3 after. Even emails were like that. You had 8 characters you could use, and then your @ and then your IP. But let's go up to Windows 95, because this is where the internet gets really interesting. Anyone remember Netscape?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
my first browser.
It was like the very first browser ever.
Yeah. Anybody remember
I actually
websites?
remember that.
Anyone remember websites with under construction? You had the little men in the work suits and the little orange and white cones and everything. And threaded bulletin boards that were text only. You didn't even have emojis. If you wanted to do artwork, you'd have to use ASCII artwork. And then there were site visit counters. That was a big thing. How many people visited your site? Everyone had one because they wanted to have the most hits. Dial-up connection. Remember that one?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I still remember that sound.
Yes.
That sound will haunt my dreams.
Yes. That's. Yes. I every once in a while I'll talk to people. I say every once in a while. When I talk to people younger than myself, I'm always like, you're lucky that you didn't have to deal with dial-up, because we're now at a point where there's a generation of people that more or less or not at all ever had to deal with dial-up. But those days, man, those days.
I mean, a lot.
Dial-up
Slowness of it. The internet was slow. It was really bad.
Hell, a lot of them haven't even had to use landlines.
Yeah, dial-up was both magic and a nightmare, because on one hand the internet was a very interesting place to surf through, but on the other hand you couldn't use dial-up and the phone at the same time. It was either one or another, so everybody was always fighting. Everybody was like, hey, turn off the internet, somebody is going to call me today. And we had to turn off the internet. And we also couldn't we are also not allowed to use the internet on working days, because the phone bill would come absurdly high. So we could only use the internet on Saturdays and Sundays.
Well, remember your limited minutes per month you could have, and if you went over, you had to pay extra fees.
Oh God.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was horrible.
Honestly, I
Us-
I remember the '90s internet more for a different reason. I'm sure you know of it, but remember the original Doom crash and Linda?
Yes.
Yes, I
Doom.
remember Doom real well.
Yeah, the game that pretty much marketed, well, helped make the shareware model really popular. The bane of old internet servers of college campuses everywhere back in the '90s.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget 3.5-inch discs with 1.44 megabytes of space. And
Oh God.
AOL, America Online. How they would
Well,
send you
oh,
discs
yeah.
in the mail to get you to sign up for them.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
that
and
was
what
funny.
I was just gonna add on that. And every show, like there's a period of time. I don't know what year it stopped happening, but like if you watch old kid shows, even like old adult shows, whatever, and you see commercials, they'll all say whatever it is .com or AOL keyword, and that's immediately when you realize you're watching something from like the year like 1999. Is anytime you hear anybody be like, use AOL keyword NFL to get the latest scores, and you're like, oh well, that's from a different time.
Oh, yeah. And what about editors for your web pages?
Or how it was.
You couldn't use editors right off. You had to know
Oh,
raw HTML to make websites. You had to actually code it in yourself. And
Oh yeah.
flashing banners. Everyone had a banner that was flashing.
Now you
Oh,
weren't cool
yeah.
unless you had at
Those were
least 3
annoying.
of them.
I know, right? And bitmap files instead of
You're not cool if you don't give people ellipsy.
Yeah, and there was those flashing banners. I think everybody stopped using them because advertisements started using them. There was like, hey, congratulations,
Yep.
your visitor number 10,000. You won something super cool, and if you clicked on it, it would just
Virus.
install a virus.
Yeah, in fact, thinking about it, looking back on it, that's probably how I actually know more about the flashing banners, because I'm trying to think of any websites that I would have gone to that would have had those. But the only time I can actually, when I even think of those, I think of the obvious clickbait advertisement, which, I mean, there's still that kind of stuff now, just as far as like, yo, you click on this and there's a virus or whatever.
Hot,
But-
lovely singles in your area right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. But like back then, it was stuff like, you are the 10,000th visitor, or it was stuff like that. Those kind of advertisements were what were the clickbait virus advertisements. So that
Yep.
has certainly changed.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and there was also install ask toolbar.
Oh God, toolbar.
oh yeah.
Oh
Those
God.
were the
The
worst.
toolbar, yes.
My first computer, I had like eight discrete different toolbars in Internet Explorer when I first started using a computer.
God, toolbars were just a
me think.
blight on the internet back then. Everyone had a toolbar and everyone wanted you to use it.
Yeah, I used to
I think
have
I
a
had
Google toolbar.
AVG, Google, Yahoo.
Yeah. That just
Oh,
reminds-
another.
Yeah.
I was going to say another thing was bitmap files rather than JPG, which ironically took up a lot more space since storage
Yeah.
was much less than it is with modern operating systems. And you had to upload your website stuff by FTP, File Transfer Protocol program, which looked like a little DOS screen.
Yeah, I still use that actually.
Yeah,
But under
the internet still
FileZilla.
uses that.
Those are the highlights of what I remember from the old days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember for the other reason, forums. Forums back in the
Yes.
days, how communities grew. Actually,
Yeah.
that's how the furry fandom got started, was back in the late 80s, early 90s. Everyone's that had like-minded interests started reaching out on forums.
Yeah, that's certainly a thing that's changed. Where that's because there are still forums, and you still have some sizable forums, but there seems to be less of them because now you have places like Facebook that have Facebook groups, or Twitter, where you'll have like a segment of Twitter that's like
Yeah.
whatever it is, that's the community of people, but it's on Twitter, or you have the specific Facebook groups. There's no dedicated websites for communities, or at least there's not nearly as many as there used to be.
Yeah, because forums were mostly discontinued because they don't have the capabilities of new sites for like live chat, for example, and other stuff like that. So forums were kind of abandoned.
Yeah, a lot of them were really replaced with, well, let's be honest, Discord.
The
Yeah, I was
Discord,
just about to say that.
that's another place that has replaced a lot of stuff. I mean, Discord, Twitter, Facebook have very much damaged forums.
To be
As
fair,
far
at
as
least
far as like the main way. I mean, there's, as I said, there's still forums. I mean, I'm on a forum. I mean, I write the column for the forum, so they do exist, but they're less prevalent. And in a way, I kind of think that's a shame, because I just think back to that that style of communication, and everybody would have their own avatars, and you could see how long people were in the community. You'd have post counts on forums and things like that, and you'd have the signatures that would be all different and whatnot. And so in a way, I think there was a lot of personality with forums, and in the design and the colors and
Yeah,
whatnot, that you just don't see much anymore.
I remember
yeah.
one forum I was on, I got up to 6,666 posts before it went out.
The only forum I remember I actually participate in this forum right now from from a game is from a PS2 game that got its online servers
oh, I
reinstated.
know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, outbreakserver.org. It's like the only forum I visit, and it's because it's a really old game.
Yeah, honestly, I do love that game. Is a killer game, and it's a shame that instead of giving us that, they decided to give us, hey, here's Resident Evil Resistance instead.
Yeah, yeah, that game was very much ahead of its time, but yeah, forums have mostly been replaced by new media. I think Discord is as closest as you can get to a forum, but basically instead of threads, you have live chat.
Yeah, I'm personally a fan of Discord. I find I like how customizable, how easy it is to set up and go.
Yeah, Discord is one of the better things about new internet because let's be honest, nobody would in their mind use Skype. Skype is a mess.
God, Skype was a mess when it was
You could say that
popular.
again.
It was a mess before it was popular. It was a mess after it was popular, and it was a mess after it got abandoned. I still use it.
I said, yeah, it only got worse once Microsoft acquired it.
Yeah, Microsoft basically acquired Skype, and because they felt, oh, nobody's using this, they forced everybody to switch from MSN to Skype, and that was it. That killed both.
Pretty much.
Speaking of
They killed
Microsoft
two birds
and
with one
internet,
stone.
anyone remember Internet Checkers?
Oh, yes, that game came with Windows XP.
Yep, because Windows XP used to come with stuff. I mean, there was 3D Space Cadet Pinball, and you had Internet Checkers where you could play people online.
Minesweeper and Solitaire, I love those.
Doc,
Yeah, I used to play all of these games in the spare time, too. They were a lot of fun.
Doc, did you not get me any screenshots of MSM or MSN?
I can get you one right now. I actually have a patch copy of it installed.
There's actually
it uses an unofficial server called Escargot, or is it Escargo? I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Escargot.
Yeah.
Anyone remember ICQ?
Oh yes, yes. It was like MSN before MSN.
Uh-huh.
There was also
Just a moment, I'm
AIM
opening it up.
and a few others I don't remember, but ICQ, AIM, and MSN were like the three main ones of the old internet.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Right. Right. It's the other thing that we haven't talked about up to this point is how streaming has changed, streaming video, because I remember a time, this would have been summer of 2009, where like I was using cartoonnetwork.com at that point on a regular basis, and their video section, they had a whole series that you could sit and you could binge for free, no login information, none of that. You could just go to the
Oh
website
yes.
and watch.
Yes.
And then you have sites like Hulu. Hulu used to be a free service that would have all sorts of content. Networks' websites used to have all sorts of free content day after airing on TV. And now you have a million different streaming services, paid streaming services.
Actually,
Yeah, I
that-
think
Sorry.
back then streaming was almost entirely handled by two applications. It was Windows Media Player. It was like the old Windows Media Player and Real Player. Does anybody remember Real Player?
Oh,
I
Yes.
remember Real
Oh,
Player.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I have
these
not
were
heard
like
that name in a long time.
these were like the two biggest ones that allow people to watch things on their website. And if you didn't have if a website hosted Real Player content or Windows Media Player content and you didn't have that installed, they would be like, "Oh, you don't have Real Player or Windows Media Player installed. Please install it so you can watch this video."
Yep.
Let's not forget Silverlight.
Yeah, actually, going back to
Flash player.
going back
Yeah.
to streaming, actually, because of the rise of the fact that everyone and their mother has a streaming service now, piracy's been back on the rise. Like when Steam was first introduced, piracy of games dropped drastically, but now that there's so many different services, no one wants to use all these different services or pay for them. Just like with TV streaming, like who the hell wants to pay for 12 different like Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, Hulu Plus, every single, who wants to buy like 12,000
Yeah,
subs?
yeah.
Yeah, so
Not
Not
me.
Anyone remember Mega Video?
Oh yes.
Mega
And didn't they
what?
have like a 90-minute counter too, where you had
Yep,
to like
the
reset
72
your browser's cache?
The 72 minutes.
Oh,
The
72
You
minutes.
could watch anything. It was 72
Wait.
minutes. Or wait, it was 72 minutes. I can't remember if it was 90 minutes, and then you had to wait 72 minutes in between watching things,
Mhm.
or
Oh yeah.
what it was. But there was specifically, it was either you had 72 minutes to watch, or it was 90 minutes.
That
and then
thing
you
was
had
a
to wait,
menace.
or
Wait.
you could pay, which is how that guy ended up becoming a millionaire.
What Mega what again?
Mega Video.
Oh right, Mega Video. It was part of Mega Upload.
Yep.
Mhm.
Speaking of Mega Upload, back before there was Google Drive and all these other Dropbox and all these other cloud sharing sites. There were these sites called Rapid Share, Mega Upload, Mediafire, all these file sharing websites, and they all had these file limits. Like you can only upload 100 megabytes per file, so people split their files into a million pieces and they uploaded on every one of them. And then they said you need to download all these 25 files and then you need to combine them. And it was a nightmare to get through because these sites usually forced you to pay for a premium service, otherwise the service would be horrible.
You're giving me nightmares thinking about that. Rapid Share, that was the one that I hated the most. Mediafire, I think, was kind of the better of the two evils at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Mediafire was the
LimeWire.
best. Yeah, Mediafire was the best out of all of them, but Rapid Share was a damn nightmare because they didn't let you use anything to support your download. Your download would usually cancel halfway through, and then you have to download the whole thing again. But then they wouldn't let
20
you.
times over.
Yeah, they wouldn't let you download the entire thing again because there was a limit on how many files you could download per hour, and you had to wait an hour to download another file. And since Rapid Share kind of canceled your download halfway through, it was impossible.
Man, there's nothing rapid or sharing about it.
No.
And about and yeah, also before Rapid Share, there was also the other. Um, there was these P2P sharing applications. Like it was Torrent before Torrent. I remember there was LimeWire and
Yes.
Emule. Does anybody remember Emule?
A little bit, yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not familiar
so
with that.
yeah, it was either LimeWire or Emu. You basically everybody used those applications. You search for a file on them, and if somebody else's computer had that file, you could download that file into yours, and it was like a mess of viruses and varying quality. Like you could search for a song or a video, and you never knew what kind the quality it would come. Some songs would come in great quality, others would come in horrible quality. It was just a mess.
Or do you remember after the LimeWire lawsuit, when you would go to download a song, they'd show like it would have the same duration as the song, but when you open the file, it'll be like, LimeWire has been shut down. Please claim your prize and enter your information at the following website. Please acquire your music legally.
God.
Well, I wasn't around for that because I prefer to use Emule.
Damn you, Hetfield.
I've heard that because at one point recently, a while back, I watched a retrospective on LimeWire, and then we're talking about how the music industry would actually put corrupt files on there. Maybe it was LimeWire or Kazaa was one of them, and they would actually purposely put virus files like that to try to stop piracy.
Oh, so when
Oh, boy.
so when the music industry puts booby traps on the internet, it's fair and legal. But when I put a bear trap in my house, it's dangerous. It's a booby trap.
Who remembers Napster and the lawsuits they went through?
Oh yeah. I remember
Napster.
Napster.
That was before my time, but I'm aware of that.
You remember it was the lead singer for Metallica, I think, who started all of that. And I was
Yeah, Hetfield.
on the internet at the time. I had friends of mine downloading, oh gosh, thousands of songs for free.
And now it's even easier with just a YouTube to MP3 converter.
Yeah, and there's a million of those. It's like,
Yeah,
That was
there's
one of, that was one
either
of the
you.
things about Real Player you could download off of YouTube.
Oh yeah, there was
Or stealing the
the
multiple mix.
Real Player browser plugin. They would show, hey, download this video with Real Player
Mhm.
while you were browsing YouTube.
yes, I remember this. Anyone remember GameSpy and those and companies like that would hold the servers? There were server companies, specific server companies for certain games. Like the way I first encountered that was there was this game, may it rest in peace because I wish it still existed. There's what was it? Ben 10 Alien Force Bounty Hunters. And I remember that was like a game that you would download. That was the first online game I ever played. It was an online competitive 2D third-person shooter. And I remember the servers for that. There would always be that GameSpy logo because they were the ones that ran the servers for it. There were companies like that. Anybody remember
There are
that?
also no, but
Floor, did
I
you get
do
the
remember a
screenshot I
lot of.
sent?
Yeah, I did. But we
Okay.
already
I
moved
do.
past it.
I do remember slot machine games being advertised on the internet. Come play for free, win money.
Oh, Pogo. Remember Pogo?
Oh yeah.
I remember I used to always play that. I always used to play like that Plinko game. There's a lot of games on there I remember playing a lot.
Remember, because Google has been around for a very long time. But remember when Yahoo was the all-consuming company for everything? You had
Yes, and I
Yahoo.com, Yahoo Mail, you had Yahoo Answers, you had games
Yeah.
on Yahoo, you had Yahoo Groups, you had Yahoo Blogs, almost all the stuff. I guess with the exception of a video service, as far as like a content
There
creation kind
was a
of video
video
service.
service actually. It was called Yahoo Videos.
Oh really? Oh yeah, there was Yahoo
Yeah,
Video.
there was.
Just Yahoo.
Yeah,
was just,
but no,
it was just everywhere.
I was
Yahoo
on Yahoo Video at one time.
Yahoo Videos wasn't exactly a video service like YouTube where you can upload your thing and it would be there. No, Yahoo Videos was more like a search engine. It would search videos on sites on other sites.
Right, right. But
remember Photo Bucket.
Oh
I
right,
do
Fogo.
remember. Oh yeah, wasn't that owned by
That
MySpace?
site was so wrapped up with so many ads, though.
Yeah, Photo Bucket was a nightmare. Like I even back in the day, I didn't know why people use that site because you uploaded a picture there, it would destroy the quality, and then it would force you to go to their site. It would fill up your image with ads. It was just so bad.
Let's be glad it kicked the bucket.
Yes.
Yeah, it was replaced by IMGUR.
Oh yeah, Imgur.
Mm,
Yeah, or you could just paste images on Discord these days.
Yeah, and then use the link it generates.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hon-
I just remember when Yahoo was just like in control of everything, which is weird now because it's like worth like $1 million now. But there was a period where if you were using the internet, you were using something that was Yahoo.
I
indeed.
I only remember Yahoo Mail and Yahoo Videos, but back when I first got into the internet, like in the year 2000 or so, Google was already active and many people preferred it to Yahoo, including me.
I still
Yeah.
use the Yahoo email, but that's just because it'd be a pain in the ass. 'Cause I've been using that account since like 2007, 2006, and I just really don't want to change over, you know.
Oh yeah, I used to have my very first email was Hotmail. Does anybody remember that? It
I
was the
remember
email.
that one.
Oh my
I never
gosh,
used
yeah.
Hotmail, but I remember that existing.
Oh yes. I
Yeah.
still
Yeah,
have a
Hotmail.
Hotmail address.
Hotmail was the one that required you to sign up for if you wanted access to MSN.
Hmm. I remember that.
And by the way, there was two different versions of MSN. There was Windows Messenger and Windows Live Messenger.
I never used those. What was the deal with those exactly?
I mean, Windows Messenger was like another version of Windows Live Messenger. It was in Windows XP, I believe, and it was essentially the older version. But then when Windows 7 or Windows Vista came around, I don't remember. Microsoft,
It started with Vista.
yeah, Microsoft released Windows Live Messenger, which was like an updated version of the previous one, and you, I think you I don't remember if you could use both at the same time, but Yeah, it was either one or another.
Honestly, befitting my channel and what I do on the internet, my real introduction, well, like I used it off and on during school, right? But my when I really started getting heavily into the internet was back in 2006, 2007 with RuneScape. With RuneScape and YouTube is what really got me using the internet pretty much every day. And Roblox.
Well, what got me using the internet every day was like Cartoon Network because the site the site was like filled with all sorts of flash mini games, and I would
Oh, I
just sit
remember
there
those.
and play every last one of them.
Yep,
Oh,
I remember those days.
oh, they had a lot of fun games on there.
The first time, I mean, I was
Ironically,
semi regularly using the internet as early as what would that have been? Even like 2006, maybe even 2005. I would have to 2005, 2006. And I was going to cartoonnetwork.com a lot. And at some point after that, I would also go to like nick.com and nickjr.com at one point. And because they actually had some, you would think they would have some pretty lame games on there, but they actually had a couple pretty good games on there. So I was using that. And I went to those sites. There was a good period from like 2006 to like 2000 and maybe 11 or 12 where I was regularly using those sites. But when I seriously really started using the internet, like as far as branching out and whatnot, probably would have been like 2010, because at that time, and I did not do any videos. So before anyone asked, I was on kidstube.com and was part of that community. And that was as early as that was 2010. And then, so I was seriously using that. I was in the community commenting and whatnot. And then, at that point, I was using YouTube. And then after that, I entered the alternative site community in 2012. So that's pretty much where I've more or less been ever since, with, using forums, various sports forums, Arena Fan, and now Sports Coast to Coast, and Discord and things like that.
ironically, one of the things that got me into the internet in 2008 was actually consuming, let's say, unauthorized copyrighted content on YouTube just months before that lawsuit, which is ironically the very thing that we're trying to avoid with WePity.
Yeah. Back in the day, YouTube was like the place where everybody didn't know how to create content properly, so everybody just uploaded music videos and other stolen content, and
Pretty
that's
much.
how YouTube became popular because everybody was uploading copyrighted content. I think
In parts.
yeah, the only original content back in the day on YouTube that I remember was Shadow Laggy,
Yeah.
because she created those music videos with those stick drawings, and the other type of original content, quote unquote, on YouTube, it was AMVs.
Oh
Yes.
God. That just reminds me.
Mhm.
Kato says she's going to upload AMVs. I'm going to have to beat her up.
Another thing,
Oh,
do you guys remember fan fiction and sites like Lycos, Tripod, and Angel Fire?
Oh
Yes.
yes, they
I
they
remember
still
Angel
exist.
Fire.
Oh yeah,
But
fanfiction.net's the current preferred, if I remember correctly.
yeah, fanfiction.net was infamous, especially when when people discovered My Immortal.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Evanescence?
for no, no, no. In 2006, there was this fan fiction called My Immortal. It was a Harry Potter fan fiction, and basically everybody just found out about it because it was so horrible. Like Let me read a line from this fanfiction, just one. Why did you do such a thing, you mediocre dunces? Asked Professor McGonagall. And there's also, rid my sight, you despicable praps, said Snaketail.
God.
Honestly, going back to the game sites, that's a pretty good segue for something of like, y'all remember game sites like Cool Monkey or like Crazy Monkey Games? You know, just a bunch of different Flash arcade
Miniclip.
plays. Yeah.
Blue Snail. What
Yeah.
about Blue Snail?
I always use Crazy Monkey Games personally. That's the one I knew of.
The only one that was not either Nick.com or Cartoon Network that I used for Flash games was Miniclip was the one that I used. And even on Miniclip, I actually didn't play a lot of the other games. I mainly played this old game called Need for Madness. Which
Speaking of,
still exists, but it's not a Flash game. Which, on the subject, we just recently lost Adobe Flash Player, which, for better or for worse, was a lot of the internet. I mean, there was a point where
Not
there were
entirely
sites
true.
that form could not
Not
function
entirely
without
Fire.
Flash Player.
Yeah, not
yeah,
entirely. As long as you know what you're doing, Flash still exists.
yeah, but back in the day, 2006, 2007 or something, if you ever ran into a website that needed Flash Player, the browser would outright tell you, hey, you need Flash Player, click here to download it, and then you downloaded it, and it installed automatically, and that was it. Flash was that important. Browsers were actively giving you Flash Player, but these days, all browsers are like, yeah, Flash is dead, we're disabling it for you.
Yeah, which is just
Right.
annoying. It's like, if I wanted my crap controlled where I got told what I can and can't use, I would go to iPhone. I would go to Apple. Don't tell me what I do and don't want. Screw you.
And I know there's archives and things for that, and certain stuff is transitioned to Java and whatnot. But I mean, as Allison pointed out, the fact that website it's a complete 180. You had browsers actively wanting you to have Flash Player, and now they're telling you it's dead. Even though you go, well, it's not completely dead. The fact of the matter is, for a long time, for like a whole year last year, every time I turned on Chrome, it was like, we are killing Flash Player. It's dead. Which, as I just previously stated, is a complete 180, and that's a pretty big change, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, which honestly, because of Doc, I might just jump to Waterfox because I don't really want to be told, hey, you can't use this. Why? Because it's not safe. Yeah, well, neither is 90% of the internet. Yet, I'm allowed to freely browse and go wherever I wish. Might
What
I
is
mean, as long as you
Waterfox?
don't allow a plugin to run 24/7, it's quite alright as long as you're only enabling on a select amount of websites that you actually know.
like another site we could talk about, Newgrounds.
Oh, indeed.
Oh, yeah. So, funny story is that I actually didn't know. I actually played Newgrounds game, but not in the way you would imagine. Like, for example, um, do you guys? There was a time when I used to go to the store and I would buy these CD-ROMs that came with with, hey, 1050 games, and it was all just Flash games installed on them. And then
Yeah.
I would, yeah, these were a thing. There, that stores would download Flash games from Newgrounds, Miniclip, Cartoon Network, all these places that had Flash games. There were stores that would download these and they would put it in a CD-ROM and they would sell it to you like 1,000 games for you to enjoy. And I bought one of these.
Not to
Well,
mention... Oh, sorry.
I had
I
100.
never
I had
remember
100 and
these.
some solitaire games that way.
Yeah.
Not to
When you
mention,
go to like an office store, they still sell like if you go to like Office Max or
yeah, they
Office
still
Depot
sell
or
those
whatever,
crappy games.
Staples. If you walk in, if you're in the right aisle of those places, you can still find for like $20 like 101 classic card games for like Windows XP, like still at those places. It's
You
really actually kind of funny.
actually, I also remember you used to not even have to buy them. They would just give them to you in boxes of cereal and crap too.
Oh yeah, I remember there was one computer game. Not to get too off topic, but I remember there was this old Arthur like computer game that was like a full point and click adventure game that came with a Wendy's Happy Meal. It's like Wendy's was giving those out at one point.
Chex
I
Quest.
still have I have a Finding Nemo DVD from like I think the movie came out in 4. I got the disc in like 5 or so. It actually comes with a DVD-ROM that has like a 2D game. It wasn't a Flash game. It was a like DirectX 7 game. But yeah, that was pretty weird. Buying a movie and getting here's a game too.
Now, here's a avenue that we haven't touched on: shopping online.
Uh
Oh boy.
oh.
Yeah.
Are we going to be
Back-
discussing the giant elephant in the room then?
Remember
Yeah,
when you could only purchase books on Amazon? That was it.
Yeah. Back then, shopping online was like was pretty much everybody told you it was a scam. If you shop online, you're gonna get scammed because there were these stories on media of people who shopped online and they got scammed because that was all eBay was good for back then. If you People will tell you if you buy something from eBay, you're gonna get scammed.
Yep.
That what's it called? Yeah, now that's what Wish is for now.
Yeah,
It's
there
the
was
other
like
way
a,
around now. Now it's like if you're a seller, you're gonna get scammed.
yeah, it was
People are
horrible on
actually
both.
buying bootleg things. Like people go into AliExpress now and things like that. Now people are like way less concerned than they used to be.
AliExpress is where you just go to buy cheap Chinese knockoffs you don't want to pay premium for in the store.
I
And hope
use
that it gets to you in
AliExpress.
less than 8 weeks.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, well, let's be honest, it's where you get a lot of those Chinese-made things in general.
You get some pretty great stuff there. It's just the shipping is a little
Yeah,
bit scary.
there's a lot of Chinese knockoffs there, but if you search for, because there are a few stores that are basically official stores, like it says Empow official store because Empow is then the brand that produces the my headphones. I own like 3 headphones from Empow and they're pretty great. So I use AliExpress for a lot of things, but yeah, I always take care to go into the official stores to check if the product is official and basically it's because it's the only site where I won't have any trouble with customs because in eBay, if I buy something from eBay, it would take 2 months to arrive. And even then sometimes um I once bought I once bought a speaker from eBay and it took like 3 months and it didn't come here. The customs said it was missing, so I lost $50 on that.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So AliExpress is like the only site I can use to import things without customs screwing me over.
Amazon is surprisingly pretty decent with customs. Like I could get things shipped as gifts outside the United States
I-
pretty easily
Yeah,
if it says that it supports global. That is.
Yeah, but that's because you live in the United States. Because if you live in Brazil, the customs is a mess. It's horrible.
To be fair, isn't your
Really?
customs corrupt as hell? Or just in general. Then
Yeah.
again, that's everywhere you go. Politicians are all crap bags.
Yikes.
Something I would
Yes.
like to discuss.
Sup?
Does anyone remember at the time when the internet really went through some changes? Because I remember throughout the 90s and early part of the millennium, it was roughly the same. I think a lot of the big changes in the way social media exploded was around 2010. Am I the only one that has that opinion, or
I
No,
would
no, no.
agree with
Facebook.
that.
It was way long before that. I think it was
really?
2000, 2006 or
I would say so.
2007 when social media started exploding in popularity. There were
MySpace.
sites.
2006.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was MySpace and there was another site called Orca.com. Does anybody remember Orca.com?
Vaguely.
I
Clueless.
just
No.
never heard of this.
Yeah, Orca.com was like this very successful social media website before Facebook. But and it ran from like 2005 to 2010. Everybody was using it. I mean, at least everybody in some parts of the world. Some parts got Orca.com, and other parts got MySpace, other parts got Facebook. But yeah, once 2010 came, everybody switched to Facebook.
That's when I joined
Everybody
Facebook, was
switched, I think.
2010.
God, my God, Facebook is just such a mess anymore.
I only
It is
use it for
awful.
Messenger now.
I mostly just use it to look at birds.
There's enough JavaScript on Facebook to kill a small horse.
The reason I brought up
Yeah.
2010 was because I wasn't really on the internet. I cruised the internet a lot, but I was not really on the internet until 2009. And I enjoyed using like MySpace and the early version of YouTube. I'm thinking these sites really started going through some changes around 2010 because
Well, yeah.
remember the video quality was awful. I actually remember Blog TV. Does anyone else remember that one?
I'm aware of
Yeah,
Blog
yeah.
TV.
I
Justin TV.
yeah, there was
Justin.tv.
yeah, there were like all these sites that tried to be YouTube back then, and all of them failed.
All of them died.
Who remembers VO?
I have a VO,
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar.
believe it or
right.
not.
It's
Does
interesting
anyone
about
remember
VO.
Ustream?
VO actually looks the same today as it did in 2009. It's not quite dead, but it's really not actively developed at all. I think it was bought out by an Israeli company, but they haven't really done anything with it as far as I'm aware. I'm gonna have a look at it right now, actually. Oh, I
Yeah,
take it back.
there's-
They just ever so slightly redesigned it.
Tuh.
Well, my first alternative after YouTube was Daily Motion, which is terrible now.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dailymotion was that site seemed to have like peaked as far as like actual like quality of content like around 2011. Looking back, there's a period where that site actually seemed like it was a legitimate site, and now it's just a
Honestly,
disaster.
Daily
It's
Motion
very quiet over there.
Daily Motion tended to be the site where people went when they got banned from YouTube.
It still exists, although I give them credit because it's been around almost as long as YouTube has. And
yeah.
it's,
Dailymotion basically survived the test of time that many YouTube clones did not. I remember there was another main one, like it was called metacafe.com.
Oh,
Yes,
I remember that.
I remember that one. They used to have a lot of embeds on there.
Metacafe, yes.
It's still around, but I think it was sold to someone else. Because I remember they had some original series that were published just for Metacafe, which I thought was pretty cool. But
Now, this
since
is-
then, the site is still there, but it has changed a lot.
I'm looking at
I
video, and what I find really interesting, it has a copyright of 2017 on the footer.
Yeah, that's how you tell a website's dead or not doing well, is when they don't even bother to update their copyright anymore.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, and sort of going back into the gaming range for a second, remember, and Core should remember this, and probably Doc also, GameTrailers.com. Remember when that was the gaming site for just gaming content, period? You didn't go to YouTube for gaming content. You went to GameTrailers.com and ScrewAttack.com, neither of which exist anymore.
I always went to YouTube because I'd watch walkthroughs, and because that was the one of the only other original forms of content back in the day, was the old school roots of Let's Plays and walkthroughs.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
used to
just
solely
remember-
watch their videos.
I just remember using those were the ones that I looked at because especially at that time I was really keeping up with like current gaming news, like when it was the 7th gen consoles. Like I just remember watching like panel discussion shows and stuff on Game Trailers. That part of the reason you would watch a site like Game Trailers is because their production values were just so much higher than what was on YouTube at that time, that much like you were watching TV, and it was
Oh god.
now there's nothing now because it became a point where there was nothing special about it, and people transitioned to YouTube and whatnot. But especially at that time, that's certainly a thing that's changed, because there was a period of time like 2010 2011 where I was going to GameTrailers.com on a daily basis, and now it just doesn't even exist. It's literally dead. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I remember looking for game wallpapers at one point, and everything would have that huge IGN watermark with like 3D globe and the text.
Yeah. What's it called? It was. If y'all want to move on to discussing one of the main topics of the night, YouTube and how it's changed over the last decade and a half.
Sucks.
Yes. All the way from me at the zoo to where it is now.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
It went from where there was videos.google.com to now
Oh, I remember Google videos.
and Yahoo videos and that kind of stuff to now YouTube, and even specific sites for corporate content, each individual sites for corporate content, where now it's owned by Google and it's basically their streaming service for corporate content, interspersed with individual content creators occasionally.
Yeah,
Seems
sites.
to me that big media has pretty much taken over YouTube.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually one of
pretty
the
much.
that's been one of the big driving things that have been pushing people towards our content, because that's what I've been pitching is an escape from the crap that is the constant mainstream media and celebrities. Because who gives a crap about Will Smith? Why is Will Smith being the star of the YouTube Rewind?
Exactly. Why are these movie stars showing up?
Like,
Isn't
why?
the internet
here-
supposed to be for amateurs?
Like, why didn't
Yeah,
you? Sorry.
here's the thing. And yeah, the internet was pretty much a niche thing back in 2005, 2006, but it exploded and it became mainstream in 2010, somewhere around that line. But yeah, I was about to say the funny thing about big media taking over YouTube is that back when Google bought YouTube, they were in a lot of legal trouble because people kept uploading copyrighted content. So Google made a compromise. Google promised that to big media, they would let big media delete any video for any reason whatsoever. And yes, this is true. Somebody on Twitter sent an excerpt from the contract that Google signed, and they basically gave big media all the power over YouTube. They could delete any video whatsoever for any reason, even if there's no copyright infringement at all. And Google did that to escape legal punishment. They didn't want to get into copyright battles, so they gave big media all that power.
Yeah,
I
And
know there was a deal with Universal in particular.
yeah, so there's that, and there's also the fact that in order to protect themselves even further, they also made a deal with the US government, I believe, that they would start collecting a lot of user data and send it to the government to make sure they're not doing anything illegal, to avoid all responsibility from people uploading copyrighted content. And that's how, when Google started becoming this draconian monopoly where they know everything you're doing, like they know where you are, they know your real name, they know who you live with. Google basically knows everything about you, and it was because of this copyright lawsuit back in 2000 something.
you better
Well,
hide.
And
they
of course, the irony with that is, I just wanted to add on real quick. The irony with that is,
COPPA,
yeah, exactly, because
illegally
they were
collecting
ended up
data
taking
on
up a bunch of
children, and
data,
then ironically getting
illegally
sued over
collecting
it.
data that they were not supposed to, and had to pay out money to the federal government.
well, I
Well,
was
I'd say
going to
we're all
add.
paying for it more
I
than
was
they
going to
are.
add that they should call them. They should call themselves Santa Claus. They know when you're naughty and nice.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. Google's coming for your personal data.
Allison,
Yes?
what is your opinion on the YouTube algorithm? Does it seem to favor certain sites? Excuse me, certain channels or certain content?
Absolutely. It definitely favors promoted content. It definitely favors big YouTubers like PewDiePie and others. It definitely favors those, and YouTube has basically admitted this time and again.
Yeah.
Here's what's funny about the YouTube algorithm. People complain about the YouTube algorithm, but what's interesting is at various points throughout YouTube's existence, the algorithm has at some point screwed over some segment of the YouTube community.
Animation.
Animation, it screwed over those people. Music channels, gaming channels at one point, which are now like, if there are content creators, that's who they market. There was a point where they were banning gaming channels left and right. Like 2014, 2013 was when that was, and whatnot. And then there was edgy content. Then there was not edgy content. Then you had the LGBTQ community and their content. They were getting messed up by the algorithm. News channels, regardless of politics, getting messed up by the algorithm. Like the algorithm, long form content, short form content. At various points, almost any type of content on YouTube has at some point or another been screwed over by the algorithm.
Yeah, it's only this year alone that I'm starting to see any growth, and that's only because I got lucky and one of my favorite games started exploding in popularity. Like, the user base has grown drastically. That's the only reason why I've hit any success with YouTube.
I mean, remember when just as a weird, kind of an odd example, remember when reaction channels were the thing?
Oh god.
Oh
The
yeah.
algorithm,
Oh,
and that was
yes.
totally
That's
created
not a
by
good
the
memory.
algorithm and killed by the algorithm. It was
Yeah,
created and
That's the
killed
only
by
good
the
thing
algorithm
about
within like a year. It was bizarre.
Yeah, it started with the reply girls. Does anybody remember that?
No, but honestly, one other thing that really irritates me about YouTube is its willingness to let bad actors continue to use the platform, but only because they bring them
Yeah.
money. Like the Paul brothers. Basically, completely reprehensible people, but they make a lot of ad money, so YouTube ain't gonna do crap about them.
Yeah.
Well, and it's one of those things where they're very picky and choosy because you have bad actors like them, but then you had someone like Leafy who was a divisive figure in the community, but his subscriber numbers kept going up and his view counts kept going up. And had they not interrupted his progress, he probably would have been one of the biggest users on all of YouTube. And he was deemed to be too bad of an actor, and they cut him off.
Honestly, I really hope they
Legend has that he's still shopping for a chin.
I really hope they get rid of Maximilian Muss at soon. God, that guy is a piece of work.
Folks, I'm sorry, but I have to depart.
Later, Crash.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
Guys,
Bye-bye
have a good
now.
one.
You too. But yeah, like, people like that need to just be off the platform. Like, I'm sure you've seen the recent incidents with him. Linda,
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
he's the guy where everyone has the Deus Ex profile.
Okay.
I'm
I-
not familiar with this.
I'm out in the dark.
Okay, so basically, I'll send y'all a video later, but long story short, he basically weaponizes his fan base to harass, raid, get channels banned off Twitch, YouTube, just for shits and giggles. His community has a massive problem with sharing child porn. They once harassed and threatened
Oh God.
Yeah, he once harassed and threatened a mentally ill man
Oh, no.
with death threats and made him eat his own crap on camera.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, no, he's someone that legitimately needs to be canceled because he's just a god-awful human being. But he's still partnered on YouTube. He still has like 3 million subs.
Yikes.
It's like that's the sort of thing that just annoys me about YouTube. You can mess up as a small YouTuber and be gone, but you do messed up things like that, and you're still kept around because you're profitable.
I guess that's basically how YouTube works. So back on the algorithm thing. So if I remember, it basically started back in 2011 something with the Reply Girls. There was this group of girls that would upload videos using the video response functionality from YouTube before YouTube removed that. They would use that functionality to send responses to videos, and they would put a thumbnail of their cleavage to bait people into watching their videos, and they kind of became rich with that. And I guess that's how reaction videos became popular, because people realized that this stuff would get them rich. And YouTube subsequently they removed the response functionality from the website because of that. And on top of that, I think the other reason why the algorithm is favors so much, the other reason the algorithm favors so much people who upload videos every day, cheap, lazy videos like reaction videos, let's plays, it's because in 2012, PewDiePie started making success. PewDiePie kind of became like the number one YouTuber. He was everywhere, and suddenly there was a lot more of other YouTubers who were copying him, playing horror games. Like Markiplier is the one from the top of my head. There was basically this Let's Play boom on YouTube. Suddenly, Let's Plays became the number one content on YouTube. And because of that, YouTube started favoring that kind of thing. And because they started favoring Let's Plays, which was something you could make and publish every day, other channels that made more complex content that took weeks to produce, maybe months to produce, they fell out in favor of Let's Play content.
God, that just reminds me. Hey guys, welcome to my Minecraft Let's Play. Today we're gonna go in the caves. Well, like just every 12-year-old back in 2012.
No, if we wanted to watch Vidley Core, we'd go to Vidley.
But yeah,
Oh,
like,
that's still Vidley.
but yeah, everyone and their mother back in 2012 wanted to be a Minecraft Let's Player.
Well, I remember is going back older YouTube, and this is the thing how certainly the internet has changed, because this was a big deal at one point. I remember the Club Penguin community back in the day, and you'd have the Club Penguin YouTubers using the unregistered Hypercam 2
Oh god.
doing like tutorials with that let the bodies hit the floor. Let
Yeah.
the bodies hit the floor
Sorry
song
about the
like, in the
Kiki
background.
Typing on Notepad.
Typing on Notepad. It's like, here's how to get coins on Club Penguin. It was like, and like, I mean, that was a whole that was a whole type of content. Yeah, and I just remember all that stuff, and obviously that was a younger audience, at least it was supposed to be anyway.
Yeah. Oh man, that's another thing about early YouTube. Pretty much everyone had either Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, Paralyzer, or some other form of butt rock. That was just popular. Everyone stuck it with an A
And
and
that
B.
007 sound system song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they gave those because when videos were getting muted, YouTube would like, here's a free selection of music, and 007 sound system would be one of those options that sounded the least
Yeah, I
grating on
always was
the ears.
convinced. I was like, are these the only royalty-free songs that exist?
Kevin
that's
McLeod
exactly
and
what it was.
Computech.
Well, I give him credit. You still see, especially a lot of smaller YouTubers still use some of that stuff, but that always gets weird because then you'll hear YouTubers use the same song, and you'll be like, "Wait, I know what that's from, but I don't know what that's from at the same time." And then you look at the credits of the video, and it'll be like, "Oh, that's Incompetech."
From what I remember, at least way back from 2006 YouTube or something, everybody would make something using either "In the End" or one of the Linkin Park songs.
Oh yeah.
I still listen to a few of those albums to Core's Not Surprised.
Hybrid Theory is a killer album.
Hybrid Theory and what was the other one?
Well, I'm happy that the
What was
Let's
the
Play
other
has
one?
gone up, because I still remember with the walkthroughs. Walkthroughs didn't always have commentary.
Oh yeah,
There were a lot of walkthroughs that didn't have commentary, and there's still uncut gameplay footage or not much commentary or whatever. But I mean, I remember a time where it was like a real hunt to have to find for good commentary, or even just commentary on a video game walkthrough at all.
Oh yeah, I remember
yeah.
when you did find a good channel, you latched onto them.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. There was this one
Yeah.
called Four Swords Lord that I used to watch.
Oh,
I used to play Spider-Man 2 a lot, the movie game from 2004, and I remember watching that whole tutorial series how to play the game.
Yeah.
honestly, my
I have that game in my collection.
honestly my
Oh,
favorite,
do you?
and
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
honestly my favorite old school YouTuber that's still funny was Raidu Frost. He did a really funny Metal Gear for the NES playthrough, where it was basically just him going back and forth in his. He did a really good Solid Snake impersonation, so it's basically just him and Solid Snake back and forth arguing and bantering the whole time, and it was honestly pretty funny for back in that time period. 'Cause I think that was like 2008, 2009.
Well, and
There's one YouTuber that I used to watch a lot. His name was, what was it? Just some random guy, I think. He was a voice actor, but he did stop motion comedies over his videos, and I used to sit around for hours and hours watching those videos.
I know that.
well, and the one thing that we haven't sort of a big elephant in the room how YouTube has changed is the layout, channel layouts.
Oh
Those
yeah.
have changed so many times. I mean, I think back to YouTube of 2011 and I compare that to now, and it's just like not even the same site.
Oh yeah.
The same
You'd
site by
have
name.
channel comments, you'd have groups, you'd have your friends list, you'd have DMs, you'd have custom channel background, custom channel banner, all that stuff.
Yeah, there was so much.
You used to be able to watch videos on channels. A lot of the times, if I had a channel that I would like, the I can't say that I fully remember the 5-star video rating system on YouTube, only because in that time, 2010, 2011, when I was early watching YouTube, I would go to people's channels and just sit and binge their video content on their channel. I wouldn't go
That was one of
look
the
at
high
like
points of
recommended
2.0.
videos or whatever. Like at that time.
It was so tight to just be able to stay on a channel and watch everything without leaving a page. That's one thing that I really, really miss.
Oh yeah. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I've missed
That's something-
that for a long time.
Yeah, that's something we definitely seek to bring back with this stuff. Is just the ability to customize your channels and enjoy watching content like that. Plus the other thing, removing all the friends, removing the comments, kind of to weaken the community feeling, you know? Like you.
Well, and in that way, things have changed. Just because now you have major YouTubers that are using Reddit. I mean, Reddit as a site, I think it exists for a long time, but I mean that's something that's only been like really huge over the last less than 10 years.
Yeah, I started using Reddit. Well, I don't frequent it very much, but basically when Yahoo Answers made their changes back in the day and turned into, I guess, a spam fest, that's when I kind of, let's try Reddit. And yeah, that's what I've been using off and on ever since for that kind of purpose.
Not to mention the fact that YouTube also has a nasty habit of just censoring things they don't like, no matter what it is. It could be even,
Careful, Core, they're listening.
they can eat my arse.
Mhm.
But yeah, I honestly just I feel they've really weakened the community factor of the site, because now you can't engage with friends and community like you used to.
Speaking of friends on YouTube, it's funny you mentioned that because yeah, friends was a cool thing to have back on YouTube, but if I remember right, they were basically worthless functionality wise because I never could understand what was the point of having a friend on YouTube if you couldn't do anything with them.
Yeah, to be fair, isn't that also why we're adding like a group function and such on the site?
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like there's certainly plenty of other. We could certainly work, especially community feedback, work on a bunch of different ideas to help make things more, effective.
Yeah, and another thing, back on the old YouTube, when people would add you as a friend, and I think I remember there was an option to set your private messages only to friends, but then people would add you as a friend, and the first thing you got was like, hey, can you watch this video for me, this totally unrelated video? Like there was a video of a car crash, and back at the time I didn't know better, but it's a damn bot. The only thing people sent me as friends on YouTube was videos that these bots would send.
Or rickrolling.
Yes.
There were these bots that I had to deal with when I first made my YouTube account, and God, it was the scariest bot I can think of. It was basically, they would use these stock photos of like these 40, 50 something year old men, and they send these like overly friendly messages to me. And I had a few videos with my face. I would do screen recordings. I'm like, okay, this is scary as FUC. I'm not going to spell the rest for Linda. And I later found it was a bot, but it was like Okay, whoever made this is cynical as hell because this is a really scary bot.
Honestly,
Yeah, that was my first internet horror story.
that sounds like something well, I'm not even going to pretend to say friends on the other site would use. My God, y'all want to talk about that little thing going on right now?
What?
You,
The B site.
the stuff going on with the BMF and all that.
Ew.
Oh.
No, no. I think we better get
Avoid
back
that.
on topic.
Yeah, yeah.
Get back
Fair enough.
back on topic of old internet things because I think we spent too much talking about YouTube.
To be
So,
fair,
Yeah.
we've been talking about the changes of YouTube, which has been a good topic.
Yeah. Does anybody remember Blogspot?
Yes.
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 I had a
In
blog
fact,
there.
I had one that I did like 2 things on and I abandoned, and I will see if it still exists because I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah,
Now,
it still exists.
let me see.
Oh, indeed. There's several bloggers I
still
know that
works.
still use it.
Yeah,
Still
back in the
works.
day,
Does it exist?
Blogspot.
Yes, it exists. Okay, you have to see this. Let me post this in the chat. In the where's the community chat here on their Discord server for the listeners out there. I have posted my old Blogspot blog, delimedia.blogspot.com, because in those days I was known as Hero Sandwich 123. That was before my name as Spider Fan.
Oh my.
Yeah,
I have
Blogspot
my
was
review of E3 2012.
I see a Nintendo Wii U.
Yes, because this was I won't say this is when it was announced because it was announced in 2011, but this was around that time. This is before the Wii U came out.
It's okay. All you had to do was wait a year and it was gone anyways.
Yeah. So anyway,
A
that
lot of very unique use cases when you mod them, though. Like, they could play GameCube ROMs natively, you have Wii mode, you have all of maybe 10 games on Wii U. It's a pretty neat little system to have, admittedly.
Honestly, it was better for its what's that program that Nintendo has? The eShop.
universe.
It was better for the
And there was Virtual
eShop than
Console.
yeah, the eShop and Virtual Console
yeah.
than it was for actual Wii U games.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
There's a backwards
that's we
compatibility
we
that
can go
interests
on
me.
that for days and days because I have a lot to say about that, but that's also off topic. But and then that's another thing how internet has changed, where just online gaming has certainly changed. Now, you just have Wi-Fi. You just connect your system to Wi-Fi and you're good. Like on Nintendo consoles, you had to use friend codes, things like that.
To be fair, that's more because Nintendo is intentionally backwards and archaic. Because they think
So
they think gimmicks are cute.
and there's still friend codes like on
Adorable.
Switch and stuff, but it's way less. It's different because like on Wii you didn't have to pay for online. I'm pretty sure on Wii U you didn't have to pay for online, but like on Switch you pay for online and things like that. And now you have through Wi-Fi, it's just changed how you even consume gaming content, just because you have gaming services like PlayStation Plus and Xbox Game Pass and whatnot that didn't exist before. Of course,
Another way
Dreamcast originated all that
Okay,
as far as on playing games online.
alright, let's move back on topic then.
Another way the internet has changed used to be for PC and laptop.
On the
now
note
it's
of-
for smartphones.
Yes, that's a major
yeah.
major change. Great call.
Like before smartphones and smartphones were a thing. Every website used to have its own unique design and personality, but like these days, it feels like everybody is concerned about making a one shoe size fits all thing, where every website is like these just these very extremely simple one bar at the top with a few links, and the rest is just one giant bar with the content that goes on, keeps loading it forever.
You gotta
They're
Right.
being
love
Because
generous,
it's
Alec. They don't even
designed
always
to
give it the
scroll on the
bar.
phone.
you gotta love minimalism.
Yeah, because I mean, it's
Opens your
designed
inner
for the
aura.
phone and designed for the tablet, which I mean, that's only something that's really happened in the last 10 years. Even I would say even less than 10 years. I would say maybe 5 or 6, maybe.
You know, it's one thing that still hasn't changed about the internet and in up until
I'd say about
2021.
that.
Mobile websites still
What's
suck.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
It's like mobile websites just never seem to really improve, do they?
Well, and I mean, you used to have Palm Pilots, which I mean, that's certainly a technology change. But as far as like using the internet on a mobile device, that wasn't something you even thought about up until around 10 years ago. Now, I never used the internet on a flip phone. I know I've seen retrospectives and things where people would look at certain web pages on a flip phone.
I did
Which-
back in 2001.
What was that like?
I did quite a
Just a
little bit at
tiny
one point.
screen, really, comparatively. I needed it to get directions sometimes or find out what the weather was going to be in a certain area or news sites or whatever.
Yeah. So how'd you get around? Because I mean, now there's touchscreen and whatnot. How would one navigate that?
You use a
Well,
physical
they had
map.
Actually, with that one, you could do what was called mobile web, and it would take you on there and you could type in whatever site you were looking for, and it would take you right to it.
Not to mention GPS satellites were still a thing, so a lot of people just had dedicated GPS things in their cars.
And that's certainly how certainly technology's changed, but also very much the internet. I mean, just as far as apps and navigation apps and
Because, yeah, like, what does everyone use? Google Maps.
yeah, Apple tried to compete.
Yeah, Google has a GPS tracker in everyone's pocket.
But
Checking my pocket. Okay, I'm all right.
I'm gonna throw my phone on the bed. I don't want Google tracking my thigh right now.
God,
Yeah, mine is over on the kitchen counter.
I mean, it's just. I mean, that's something I was talking to somebody earlier because I had mentioned that we were gonna talk about this on the podcast. How the internet has changed, and I mean, there used to be dedicated websites, but a lot of times on a phone or a tablet now, you use apps for things,
hmm
which obviously were not a thing because, as Linda pointed out, you used to use a PC or a laptop to access the internet at all. So now you've got apps for social media, YouTube, and the like.
Yeah, my Facebook Messenger app was going off a little bit ago.
That just reminds me, anti-vaxxers complain about microchips in the vaccines when you've got a tracker in your pocket at all times.
Tell them that, and they'll get real defensive. What? No, no one's tracking me. I'm like, well, show me your phone. Here it is. All right, you're being tracked. You got to throw your phone in a lake if you don't want to get tracked.
Pretty much, it's got a GPS track. Either rip out the GPS tracker or you're getting tracked, buddy.
I tested the GPS on my phone. It knows where I am within like 50 feet of where I'm standing. It's pretty spot on. Like sometimes I'll open up a map and look at myself and be like, hey, Google does know where I am. And look up and wave. Hi, Google.
And some apps you can't even use unless you have the location tracker on, like
Those
weather,
I'm
for
very
example.
wary of.
In the apocalyptic wasteland, Google will use your location to sell you to roving bands of slavers.
Because in that universe, Google will still be in control.
They'll just be aboard the ISS.
So I should look out my window and wave right now.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing.
To
Let's
be
all wait at
fair,
the same
to
time.
be fair, it is important to have a GPS because when people get confused,
That's
they
it.
do not know where to turn.
Nope. Pop
I
the shotgun.
I muted him.
Oh, you
Oh my
didn't
God,
actually mute him, did you?
Yes, I muted him.
Can he hear us?
Did
Yeah.
you mute me or you didn't mute me?
I did mute you.
No, he didn't mute you.
Yes, I did. Bad. Bad. Stop sponsoring. We're not getting paid by DirecTV. Stop sponsoring them.
I don't think DirecTV would want to pay us. They're losing too much money.
Especially considering how much we keep crap talking cable.
Get rid of cable.
Well,
and join
technically, they're not
DirecTV.
cable. They're not cable technically, Core.
Who gives a
Join
crap? They're mainstream media and they can go screw themselves.
But they're better than cable.
When you tell a big company to go screw themselves,
And he's muted again.
He's muted again.
Alright, so let's wrap
Alright,
this
that's
up
cool.
with our actual outros. So this has been Core. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch.
And I'm Linda Irwin of Awesome Insanity Surfers. Find me on Spreaker under Linda Irwin and YouTube. Find me on Twitter at Insanity Surfers and at ContinuumX.
Doc?
This has been Doc or Ryan. You can find my work at eclecticforun.me. That's eclecticforun.me.
Spider?
I am Spider-Fan, the official NFL analyst for Sports Coast to Coast. You can find my writings and whatnot on sportscoasttocoast.proboards.com. I'm also on bitview.net. And due to being able to finally find the correct software, I got that all working back up again. I should be back posting content on BitView. And NFL free agency is going to be upon us. And so look out on both BitView and Sports Coast to Coast for my various thoughts on the various happenings of the free agency period. So look forward to that.
Whatever you do, don't use BitView. Use WeViddy instead.
This has been Ali, your acid bath princess of the darkness. I'm Ali the Zombie 13 on YouTube, and I'm currently developing WeViddy.net. And if you don't like the website, then you're a poser and a prep. And if you don't like this video right now, I'm going to slit my wrists.
Oh no, he's regressed. He's gone full
When you slit your
2000